guess I'll start with you. You know, when you started building an agency, when you look at the people out here now, what's something that you can give that's tangible, that if when you were building, getting that 50,000 or 100,000 like passive income, like, or just a big agency, and you're starting to work it, what's some major things or takeaways that these people can go home and actually implement and take home that they see, they love what they're seeing up front, they love all the impact, they love everything that they're seeing, but where do we start? Like, what's a couple tangibles that you can walk away with, that they can walk away with, that you experienced?
Absolutely. Well, that's the main reason I think people don't start building sooner is because it seems ambiguous. They don't know how.
Can you hear her?
Can you guys hear me? Okay. It's not echoing back like the last one was. And you know, production for me came very easily because it really was what you said. It's like rich, broke, rich, broke, rich, broke. And so I understood, okay, if I want to make an income here, I need to get good on the phone, or at least just be willing to pick the thing up and say the words on the piece of paper. We have a script, guys. It's not hard, right? You pick the phone up. And so I got very used to doing that. And Ryan's right. The more times you make a phone call, the more appointments you're going to set, the more money you're going to make. I wasn't thinking about it like that way when it came to actually building the business. And when I really started to see my business grow was when I made a decision to be as intentional about doing this when it came to building as I did my production. And that was much more uncomfortable for me, but it was much more profitable and much more fulfilling the long term. So in terms of a takeaway for you guys that are really wanting to build and don't know how, if maybe you've even been in the business for a while and you've just never kind of taken that step to move your business into something beyond yourself, I would say the very first thing you should do is you go home and make a list. And don't discriminate. Don't think about the people that you would imagine would never want to do this. Don't think about the people that are making too much money to want to do this. Look, you don't know what's going on in people's heads and hearts when you don't see them. You don't know the actual situation that they're in, not the one that's on Instagram. You don't know. And so don't discriminate. I want you to make a list of every single person that you know that has the qualities and the character that you think, yeah, that's a person I would like to be in business with. If they're not a good person, they're not going to do the right thing, then that's not a person that should be on that list. But anyone that's got the kind of character and the quality of a solid work ethic, and they're a team player, those kind of things, make a list of them. And my challenge to myself, because I always wanted to have 20 appointments in a week when I was in production, so I thought, hey, why don't I just plan to reach out to 20 people a week and see what happens? And the moment that I actually put a number to it like that, it demystified the whole thing. And about a year later, my organization was running over 500,000. But it all started with the decision to just get intentional about it. And I knew, same thing with my schedule. I knew, Ryan, that I was going to run appointments on Monday and Tuesday. I knew that every single week. That's what I did. And there's safety in that, right? There was a boundary in that, but I knew what I was going to do activity-wise. I knew what the result would be. So I did the same thing with building. Wednesday afternoon after the conference calls and Thursday, that's when I was going to do my outreaching. I put it into my schedule because what we focus on will grow. So if you actually want to build a team, then you're going to have to focus your intention and your activity on building, and it will happen. For some of you, it may be a slower growth. For others, it may be really, really fast. You know, I happen to stumble upon some superstars, absolute game changers for my business, and I'm super grateful for that. But I promise you, if you get intentional about the numbers, there's no way this won't work for you.
All right, same question, Chris. Yeah.
I think we all have to realize that the person you currently are has gotten you to exactly where you are. Can we realize that? And I realized this many years ago, sitting in a conference like this and taking notes. And so if you're happy with where you are, don't change. change is the catalyst for growth. So if you want to build a business here, you have to be willing to think differently. I talked about it on the call yesterday, the national call. I'd write this down. Thoughts lead to feelings, feelings lead to actions, and actions lead to results. And show of hands, how many of y'all had a job prior to this? I was driving a forklift, right? You had a job, JOB, you were working for somebody. Well, here's the conundrum. See, it's how you think. You're thinking like an employee. So when you come here and you have a business and one of our core values, you can own it. The problem is you're still thinking like an employee. Does that make sense? You're still thinking like an employee. You think, well, I've got to go out, I've got to get great at this system, and then I can teach other people to do it. You don't have to in this type of system. See, the genius part about what Symmetry, the platform that they put together, do you think you could have plugged somebody in today sitting beside you if you just shared the plan without knowing it, and they could have learned alongside you the same thing at the same time? Pretty genius platform, right? But the problem is the way we think. So some of the books that I read to help me think correctly to build an agency, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker, right? Because in that has that acronym, and it helped me think correctly, because what I had was a $42,000 a year brain, which was also an employee brain, coming here, and it didn't make sense for me. When I corrected my thinking and corrected that, it changed me, and it created a growth. Does that make sense? And it helped me attract people that also wanted that in their life as well. And I loved what Ashley said. Put a number to it. One of the challenges is very simple. It was share the plan, show the plan, whichever way you want to look at it, 20 times a week. You have to change the way you're thinking about that process. Does that make sense? Because if you do change the way you're thinking about that process, it will be very easier for you to do that activity on a consistent and a persistent basis. Because there's nothing like, if you want to, grow a $1 million a year agency, it's just simply doing them. It's like there's no secret. A lot of people are like, well, I bet Pope really tells you some extra special stuff when you're hanging out with him in Costa Rica. Pretty much the same stuff he's going to tell you here today. Right? I mean, right? It's the same stuff. Like, none of us has been told anything different. And when we're all talking around, we're like, yeah, it was 20 times a week. We just kept doing it through the failure. We got a lot of bullets. We got hit with a lot of bullets. We failed a lot. But it was our mind that thought correctly about that process that led to great things. Does that make sense? So I challenge you to think of the way that you are thinking. And if it's not lining up with what they're teaching, that's okay. How you can correct it is just to start to take those actions and thinking correctly in daily reading. Self-growth is so huge in this industry if you will go do that. Because the person I was before could not have built this business. And you've heard other people get up there and talk about this. So change the way you're thinking, and the quicker you'll do that, implement what Ashley's teaching with those 20 STPs, and you're going to build a business. And it truly is that simple. A lot of people tend to overcomplicate that.
I want to add something to what you said, because what the mindset thing is so huge. Chris is so right. And I would just ask you guys this question. How many of you all understand that any resource that we have can be used for your good, or it can do you harm? Have you all seen that? Have you all known anyone that money did a lot of good for them and those are in their life? Have you all ever seen money actually ruin someone because they didn't know how to handle it? What's actually the most valuable resource that we have? Time. It's time. It's not money. And what Chris was saying about the employee mindset, a JOB mindset versus a business ownership mindset, two very different things, two very different understandings of that resource time. That we think about it very differently when we're approaching that from a business ownership standpoint versus a JOB standpoint. And many people are attracted to this business because of time freedom. I know that I was. And I would suggest to you that there is a significant difference between anarchy and freedom. And you're going to see that difference played out in this business. There's people that come here and they want to run this business with time anarchy. They want to have a successful, profitable business, but their mindset around it is I can do whatever I want, whenever I want, however I want, as long as I keep it legal. And you will see them have a little bit of success and tank. Have a little bit of success and tank even further. Have a little bit more success and then quit. Because they're approaching time freedom as if that means that you can do anything that you want whenever you want. And especially when it comes to building. Here's the thing, as a personal producer, you can get away with that a little bit. You won't be as successful as the top producers in the company, but you can make some money here running out like that without the consistency, without the principles that we teach. You can make a little bit of money. But when it comes to building an organization, and that's how you choose to think about the time that you've been given, you're going to hurt yourself and a whole lot of other people. You have to realize that freedom, time freedom, actually means drawing boundaries around your time. It means knowing what you do and when you do it, and committing to that activity in that certain amount of time. And if you want to build like Chris's built, if you want to build like Ryan's built, I promise you, Ryan didn't approach building his business doing whatever he wanted to do whenever he wanted to do it because he had time freedom. That's not how he did it. That's not how you did what, 15 million last year, 13 million, something like that? Didn't happen like that. It came because he understood time freedom. And what that means is he became very disciplined and very intentional about his time, and he was consistent with that practice over and over and over, and that's what's led you to where you are.
Yeah, and let's talk about that. If you seize your first hour of your day, you seize the day. I mean, think about it. You guys know when change happens? Think about when change actually happens. When the pain of staying the same actually outweighs the pain of change. That's when change happens. So in the military, I was in the Army National Guard. I was in Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, and it was like routine. 4 o'clock in the morning, I was up. And what's interesting with symmetry is I knew that I needed to seize my first hour. That first hour was mine. I had to use it for me. Every day I was reading, I was watching YouTube motivation. I need to be the best version of myself for my people. And guys, if your first hour of your day is because you have your kids and you're doing things for your family, is that for you or is that for your kids? You need to develop yourself. If you want something different, you have to do something different. And I promise you, whatever you do, however you do the first thing of the day, I guarantee that's how you do everything in the course of the day. If you don't make self-development your first priority, I promise you, you're going to be all over the place in the course. And if you're building a business, how important is it to make sure that when you have 20 or 30 or 50 agents that you're working with, that all of a sudden, if I'm not in the right headspace, I'm out here in Arizona. I had agents in the East, and I had people calling me at 5 a.m. in the morning, and I'm answering the phone because I'm excited about the business. But do you think I was the best version of myself for that person at 5 a.m. in the morning? Because I realized I need to seize the first hour of the day for me, to be the best version of myself for them. And so that is such a big point, the self-development. I know that to talk about the foundation, that's it. And you know, Rob always told me, he's like, listen, this business is not hard, guys. Ready? I'll make it really simple. Like I don't know who's very analytical here. Engineer-minded people, it's okay. That's me. Engineer people are like this, like they don't want to raise their hand. Okay. So I know one thing, my first couple weeks, I'm actually memorizing every single agent guide and book I could possibly, memorizing it because I wanted to know everything. And Rob called me, he's like, man, how you doing? I'm like, I'm doing great, man. I got this carrier down, and this carrier down, and this carrier down. And he asked me one question, he's like, how does that help you get in front of a client? And I go, huh? Remember, I was a business owner, and I go, oops. I realized I didn't know I didn't know anything about this process, and that's where I had to put my ego on the shelf and go, you know what, I just don't know. I just need to follow the system. He's like, you may simplify insurance, guys, let me simplify. He goes, listen, there's only two kinds of policies. There's a policy with a start date and an end date, that's a term. And a policy with a start date and no end date, that's whole life. He goes, that's it. And I go, man, I'm overcomplicating this. And you know what, guys? It's not. All you gotta do is, if you do anything with intention and do anything with heart, Ashley, like if we're really putting ourselves really all in, like really making an impact that you wanna do better for yourself and you wanna do better for your family, you really wanna do better for your people, like your family, then take care of yourself in the beginning of the day. You seize the day. And I promise growth's gonna happen. And that's what happened with our agencies, right? We started getting better. And here's another question for you guys. So you start building, right? You start to see all this impact and success on people. You start making this passive income, right? How does that kind of help you? Like, how much is your life different now? Like, what's something that's happened because you built a business, because Brandon, Brian, and Casey built this system that allowed you to build this business, that created this passive income without even you waking up in the morning. You have deposits every single day from carriers. What kind of, did a situation happen that you're able to step in and go, you know what, yes. And if it is, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Let's start with you, Ashley.
Absolutely. This is my favorite part to talk about this business. You know, I told you guys a little bit about where I was, really in a desperate place, no job and no dollars, negative dollars, and really no hope. And for me, that was the big one. That was the big one, because I'm a dreamer by nature, and hope for me had always been easy to find. I'm optimistic by nature, and I had always been able to see the silver lining. I'd always been able to believe that there was something out there that was grander than what I was doing, and I was going to chase it. And I found myself in a position where 100% of that was just stripped away, and that is a really hard place to be. And you know, through this business, I think there's two main types of relationships with money that we can have. One is being a slave to money, and when you're in debt, you're a slave to money. You are an absolute slave to the dollar. The other is being a storehouse, and that's being in a position where you have margin, you have an abundance, and from that abundance that you have, you're able to offer help to others. And let me tell you, there's nothing like that. There's nothing like living an actual story within the course of 5 years, where I went from not being able to purchase a car because I had no money and my credit was that bad, to this year, I gave my second car away. I gave my first car away 2 years ago. I gave my second car away to an individual that I don't even know. I just read a story online, and it broke my heart. And I got his number, and I called him up, and I said, I don't know you, and I don't need to, but you moved me and what you wrote, and I'm buying you a car. And I don't even talk. That's what this business does. That kind of thing is what this business does. And there's not too many places in America, if there's any other places in America, where you're able to have that kind of impact and that short. I mean, we're talking 5 years, guys. 5 years. You know how quickly that's flown by? 5 years. My life is radically transformed. But you cannot put a price tag on that. I can't put a price tag on seeing one of my best friends in the world thriving when 3.5 years ago she was in one of the roughest places in her life. Can't put a price tag on that. Can't put a price tag in knowing that I'm going to be able to in the latter stages of their lives, serve the parents who took care of me for my whole life, who provided me everything I needed more. Now I'm actually in a position to be the one of their 6 children that's going to be able to make sure that they're okay as they age. Can't put a price tag on that. That's the impact, and I love, Andrew, I think it's what you said earlier. You know, you can chase income all day long. And there's lots of people across this country that do it. It's a god to them. Just chase a dollar, chase money, and most of them are a slave to it. And you can make some money by chasing money. You chase impact, forget about it. You chase impact, and money is going to be there in abundance, and your life is going to be a lot richer because of it. Not just in dollars, but in the stuff that actually matters.
Follow that, huh? Yeah. Thanks, Ashley. Zig Ziglar once said, helping enough people get what they want, you'll have everything you want, right? You ever heard that? You ever read that? If you haven't, read it. Because that's a basic principle here. You know, I think of, you know, hiring people, showing the plan, sharing the plan, and then eventually seeing some of those people actually take advantage of it. I think of a Joe Martinez. And Joe Martinez started last April with our company, part of Neubauer's group. And Joe goes out there, he comes from the restaurant industry. He's making a decent income, but he wanted something more. He's owned a business in his past background. And he comes here, and he's one of the top producers in Symmetry Financial. He's got 4 little kids, got a wife, and the beautiful part is they became debt-free other than 1 car payment just inside the first year and a half with us, right? Is that right, buddy? And, so here's the thing, you know, sharing the plan, showing the plan, that does make impact, right? Because eventually it hires somebody like a Neubauer that's up in Indiana, which moves to Phoenix, Arizona, which hires a Joe Martinez. And that's special. You know, the joy we get when we get a call or we get a text, when I see a picture of, you know, Val's son playing in the Junior Olympics over in California, and Val's got a picture of him because he was there, right? And that's your buddy that you met years ago in Barbados at a trip, right? And just seeing the joy that he had watching his son being able to play in the Junior Olympics, water polo, right? Where he knew if he was at the old job that he was at when we shared the plan with him, he couldn't be there, right? He couldn't be there. And just the joy he had of that moment, being able to be there, and I think he yelled at the other parents pretty loud and all that stuff, right? It was a good moment for you guys, right? And just seeing different things like that, it allows somebody like a Mark Neubauer, a key leader in our organization, to chase his dream as a movie producer. He spent 20 out of the last 30 days in Canada, Toronto, or is it Montreal? Toronto. And he's a movie producer. All I told him was, I just help fund this career for you, buddy. I just want to be on the red carpet one day with you, right? You know what I mean? Nothing special. Just want the invite to the Oscars or the Screen Actors Guild Award. But it allows him also to come here, build a business part-time, and chase his dream as a producer. How cool is that, right? And, you know, it starts with going back to employees think of rights. Owners think of responsibilities, right? And so it takes the sacrifice, and I go back to what we were talking about earlier only because this is a good example. So today is my wife's, she's 38 years old today. I don't know if she'd want me telling you the age part. Today's her birthday. Of course, we live in Knoxville, Tennessee. I'm not there with her because we have responsibilities because we own something. So many people make the choice each and every day not to come to a meeting like this to change their life because they have rights. You with me? And owners own it because we have responsibilities. And because we own our own time here with Symmetry, because we, you know, shared the plan and these people have made impacts in their life to the actions they took. I just said, babe, here in a couple of weeks. She goes, no, you go home. I said, do you want me to stay home? She goes, no, you go home. She goes, I know why you're doing it. I know you're fighting for our family, fighting for a better life for all of us. And well, a couple of weeks, so we get that time commodity back. We're going to Isle of Palms for like a week for her birthday, right? Because we didn't have rights, we had responsibilities. And so I just want to take it back to that. And with those responsibilities comes the opportunity to make impact.
Wow, okay. really good. All right. I love this part, because impact is, I mean, if I feel like, it's like my zone. I feel like if I can help somebody else, like here's a checklist, right? Talk about a nugget. If you can go at the end of the day and actually check mark that you actually impacted somebody else outside of something that's financially not even connected to you, like actually impacting another person, it's like one of my, I do it every single day. If you can do that every single day, just one, I guarantee you'll be able to put your head down at night knowing that it hits deep home. So here's an example. I'm going to give you a couple, okay? And I'm going to give you something personal for my family, really personal, okay? So I had two kids. I had a kid actually roll up in one of those little, I guess those little mini scooters. You kind of push up, and my front door knocks on the door, and he's like pacing. He's a real like small kid. He's like, "Do you want to donate money to for this book? It's $25. It's coupons." And his older brother is like sitting in the edge of the street. And he goes, and he comes out and he goes, "Listen, he's not doing really good. I mean, he obviously hasn't sold one, and I sold 8. He does this right in front of his little brother, right?" And I was like, "Okay, yeah, how much is it?" He goes, $25. Okay, let me get you my checkbook. So I went out and I got a check, and I handed it to him. He's like, "All right." He goes, "All right, here's your one book." I go, "How much is the book?" He goes, $25. I said, "That's $500. And the kid goes, "How many?" Well, and all of a sudden, the older brother is like, and I said, "What was your record?" And he's like, "Oh, look how many I've got." I hear him bragging. He's like, "Oh my God." And his older brother went running around. He goes, "Okay, so here's your 20 books. 20 books. And I didn't need the coupon books. I gave it away. But what was funny is how tall that kid's shoulders were, his younger brother. How tall his shoulders were. That the lessons that we can give, the impact we can give. Another one, Michael's. Guys, I don't want you to raise your hand. I'll just tell you, I've been in Michael's. My wife brought me, I didn't even know what that store was, but my wife brought me to Michael's. She's like, "You're going to love it. It's electronics. It's awesome." I walk into Michael's. Oh my God. I walk into Michael's and I'm like, wow. My father-in-law is in the room right now, so he knows. So I walk in and we're checking out because my wife got some stuff. And I'm checking out, and my wife's checking out. We're with our daughter. And there's this older lady, and it's right next to me, and I'm listening. And she's like, "Okay, I gotta pay half by credit card and half by cash, because I don't want my husband to know, because he just got out of the hospital. We have a lot of medical bills, and I just want to make the house nice." And she's like, kind of emotionally crying. And I'm sitting here during checkout, and I go, "Hey, do you guys have gift cards?" And she goes, "Yeah." I go, Can I have a $100 gift card?" And she goes, "Okay." And I go, "No, you don't need to put an envelope. I'm going to give it to this lady right here." And she's like, "I've been here 5 years. I've never seen you." I go, "No, give me the card." So give me the card. My wife's still checking out. I walk over and I hand her the card right now. And she goes, I'm like, "Here you go. Here's a gift card." And she's like, "Oh, well, thank you." I go, "No, there's $100 on that gift card." She convulses in crying, and she goes, "All I wanted was to be able to make the house nice for my husband, because he's going through a lot. You made all the difference in the world." And you know what's funny? It may be small, but the smallest things have the largest impact. The smallest things have the largest impact, guys. And I feel like, Ashley, there's hundreds of stories like that. Now, you want something personal? I'm going to give you something real personal. Brian, what I didn't know, like seeing what you guys did for Christy Woodbury, my brother, a week before national conference, calls me. My brother Carl, and he goes, "Listen," he's crying on the phone. He goes, "Listen, Alicia, his wife, has an orange-sized tumor in her head." They just found out on the phone, like an orange-sized tumor. It's just growing for 5 years. This is, thank goodness we're in Symmetry. And thank God it was benign. But that, right at that moment, because of Symmetry, because of the freedom, all of us were able to get right in there, booked our plane ticket. We thought, my brother Carl was running one of these meetings in Dallas. The next day, my brother's wife has to have surgery. Before my brother even made any other phone calls, we had several people on our team already booked their flights to go out there and run the meeting. And that's the type of family you're in. Now, you ready? The big one? A month after my daughter was born, this is the biggest one, a month after my daughter was born, I'm supposed to be celebrating life, right? My mom, who now is moving each house, visiting each one of the brothers 3 months at a time, came to our house to spend time with the daughter. A month after my baby girl was born, I find out my mom is diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. My mom has a year left. So here I am, I'm celebrating life, guys. I'm serious. I'm celebrating life. It's supposed to be the happiest time of my life. And my mom is like 6 feet away and she's fighting for hers. Let me tell you something. Right at that moment, we couldn't even afford, my mom had $500 account. We didn't even know how we were going to get my dad's body back to New York. And my mom, we went to her first cancer treatment, chemo. I don't know if anyone knows how expensive that is, but let me tell you this right now. We had the walk. My brother Carl flew out right away, and then that administration goes, hey, we need to borrow you in the back, because my mom didn't pick the right insurance, right? So she immediately told us that every 3 weeks, that our portion was going to be $5,000 for this cancer treatment, our portion. And what if I told you it was kind of a problem? I was able to take my card out because it was my mom. And that's because I helped impact so many more people. It's because I get text messages from a guy that had to live on their friend's couch and bounce around from couch to couch to couch, and one of our agents, and he texts me, he goes, man, I finally got my apartment. My wife and I sent him a plate, a little doormat that says, Symmetry, welcome home. And that's what Impact's all about, guys. So God, man, thank you guys for coming in. And by the way, we're going to wrap up. We're going to talk about some of our closing. Thank you, Chris, Ashley, if you can say, and Brian, I would love to hear some of your final comments here.